What are you doing to understand service systems and service innovation? Business, how are you reorganizing your business? Government, what policy and investments are you making? So this is really the roadmap for improving service science. The good news is, this one's a little blown up too. There are many different organizations, the UK Royal Society, the German Mars Project, ASU just came out with reports that are studying service innovation. Here's a report from the UK Royal Society, Hidden Wealth, Science and Service Sector Innovation. So the good news is the world has woken up and said, we better get serious about service innovation. In fact, more and more countries are creating service innovation roadmaps. Here's the funding for Finland. This line right here is their funding for service research. This is their funding for manufacturing. You can see for the first time in about 2007, the investment for service research passed manufacturing. What's unusual about this? The service sector has been bigger than the manufacturing sector for over a decade in Finland. And only now is the investment in understanding service innovation catching up with its importance in the economy. More and more businesses are investing in service research groups. IBM started our research group just 7 years ago. And more universities are teaching service science. So that's the good news. But where is this service growth coming from? How do we really understand service growth? One source of it is this technology-enabled access to capability. So the first thing I did when I landed today is I turned on my iPhone and like a lot of other people on the plane, I let my wife know that I had safely landed in Rome, even though it was midnight her time. So we have much more technology-enabled access. We got out of the restaurant today. Clara pulled out her iPhone, saw where our restaurant was, and we started navigating our way here. So technology-enabled access to capabilities or services. We get access to more and more of our services through technology. Organizational specialization and outsourcing generic capabilities. More and more businesses are outsourcing their capabilities and then getting them back as a service. So for example, let's say I'm an auto car maker and I have my design team in-house and I outsource my design team. Same people doing the same work, but when they were part of my manufacturing company, they were counted in the manufacturing sector, but as soon as I outsource them, they're counted in the service sector. So this is part of the growth, is outsourcing. More and more capable people have access to technology, information, people, and organization, but there's a challenge of educating these people for a world where service dominates. Let me just try to explain this important point clearly. So if you open up an industrial engineering textbook, and remember some of my colleagues are industrial engineers, open up an industrial engineering textbook, start flipping the pages, what do you see? Factory floor examples, manufacturing examples. That's what you'll see. Probably 90% of the textbook is manufacturing examples. Then you ask the professor, where are your students getting jobs? And they say, retail, healthcare, all the service sector. Well, why are you teaching them about widgets coming off why aren't you teaching them about, oh, well, the textbooks haven't caught up yet, is what you hear. Or here's the favorite thing I hear. Oh, the math is the same. We don't have to update the textbooks, the math is the same. So clearly there's been a big shift in the economy, but education and a lot of investment is in the past, what we used to do, not what we need to do for the future. And again, why does it matter? It matters because I live in California. It's a bankrupt state. We don't know how to do government. We don't know how to do healthcare. A lot of our education system is too expensive. There's a crisis in the world today. Remember the financial meltdown? Oh, but the math is the same. We don't have to prepare the students differently. No, we do. This is important. The world has changed. It's gotten much more interconnected, much more complex. There is something called service innovation that we got to get really good at, or our quality of life will start going down, not up. So this is important. The vision that we have at IBM, some of us, not all of us, this is the forefront of IBM research after all. The vision we have, if we can understand service systems maybe as viable systems better, is that perhaps there's a Moore's law of service system innovation. From an IBM perspective, why has the last 50 years been pretty good? Because we know how to invest to improve technology systems year over year over year. We don't know how to invest to improve these service systems. We don't have the fundamental science. We don't have the fundamental engineering. We have to get better at service innovation. So, let's talk a little bit about what service science is. It's a global initiative to improve service system innovation tools and methods. We want to make service innovation more systematic, more like product and process innovation. And by the way, there's these long names. If you see SSME or SSMED, it's Service Science Management, Engineering, and Design. By the way, these acronyms were designed by committee at IBM, so they're a bit long. There are models starting to appear, service innovation framework models. That's good. We still do not have a computer-aided design for service systems. At IBM, we have computer-aided design tools that allow us to design chips that have over 2 billion transistors on them. We couldn't design the chips if we didn't have the computer-aided design tools. We do not have a computer-aided design tool for complex interconnected service systems. We do at IBM, we have something called CDM. It's an early version of this tool. But you get governments that have crises, they throw $700 billion at a problem, and we don't have the same level of understanding of how that $700 billion is going to fix these systems. And one of the first things you learn about complex systems is local optimization does not lead to global optimization. So just because you can improve a piece of your service system doesn't mean the whole thing is going to get better. So this is really something that a lot of us are working on. Now, at IBM these days you hear a lot about Smarter Planet and service science. And in our Smarter Planet initiative, we are looking at smart transportation systems, energy systems, food systems, healthcare systems, electric grid, retail, all of these different, remember those 13 systems that we depend on for quality of life? Smarter Planet is about making all of them better. But we know if you just improve, say, this system, you don't necessarily get a global improvement. Somehow we have to get better at understanding how all these systems interact, and that's one of the very important things that we're trying to study, and I'll talk to you just a little bit about that. I'm going to skip this chart. I just want to mention that Paul Maglio and I recently wrote a paper called Service Science Towards a Smarter Planet that's in Introduction to Service Engineering. This guy, Gabriele Salvendi, okay? He has the top-selling industrial engineering textbook in the world. He wanted to start writing a textbook for industrial engineering that dealt with service science. So this paper is a recent one that I think you'd find interesting. So now what I want to do is try to get into the science of service science a little bit more. And the very first thing we have to do is define what is service. For us, Service is value co-creation, and I'll talk a little bit more about what value co-creation is in a minute. But if for whatever reason you don't like the word service, every time I